You are live with Louder TV in front of the Ministry of Justice with lawyer Fuad Dibis. Greetings to you, Mr. Dibis, and Louder TV audience. We'd like to ask you in English to help all the Lebanese who have difficulties understanding the importance of what's happening here today in front of the Ministry of Justice, the importance of an independent judiciary, and what has been required by the Ministry of Justice at the moment to sign
the appointment of judges and their position.
the appointments of justice and their positions. And what do we need to understand? There's two notions. Those who are demanding that the appointments of the judges is being signed now, and those who think we should just skip it and go straight to the independence of judiciary. Let's explain about the demands that the revolutionaries are requesting now.
So basically, the main demand is to have an independent judiciary, and we do that by having a law that guarantees the independence of the judiciary, and that can be done through several methods. From one, giving some independence for the judges and giving some autonomy and not letting them be influenced by politics. And so today one of the part of this law would be for the judicial body to appoint its own judges into the position. And today we have the Majlis Qada al-A'la, which is the higher entity in the judiciary that did
the Council of Judges.
Yeah, exactly. That did these appointments. We're not saying they're perfect, and we don't know all the names, and it's not up to us to decide. But the head of it is a clean guy, is a clean judge.
Is he independent?
He is independent.
Okay.
And so, but the whole council is not. So then there's this issue as well. And in this, they appointed the judges to the position they wanted to. And then the next step would be to take this appointment to the Ministry of Justice to sign the decree, and then to the president. And there was political interference. The Minister of Justice didn't accept to sign them. And so this technically is interference by the executive body in the judiciary. And as we know, we have to have a system of checks and balances, of separation of powers. So each one of these powers, which is the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary bodies, should be different. They all should act on their own and be autonomous from the others. So, and this is what will guarantee a system of checks and balances. Each one will be able to check the other, and we'll have a balance of power. So basically, the main demand again is to have an independent judiciary, and this we have this by a law that guarantees the independence of the judiciary. The laws, we can have many different things again.
There's already a law that exists that for the independent judiciary, right?
And this is even like it's protected by our laws, by the Constitution. Our demands that will be able to assist, able to have an independent judiciary, because of this we are able to actually fight corruption in a better way.
And that's going to make it difficult for a law to implement an independent judiciary or allow it to exist. It's going to be difficult because you're going to have checks and balances on the corrupt.
Yeah, of course, and they don't want that. So the people who are going to pass this law, it's the legislative body, who are the MPs in parliament, and this will hurt them because many of them appoint their own judges into the judiciary. So this already is an interference in the judiciary to the people instead of to the people and the state in general.
So being realistic, demanding an independent judiciary is not likely to happen anytime soon. So we have the demands for the appointment of new judges.
It's the appointment of judges in new places.
New places?
Yeah, in new places. They're already judges. So it's like the fight is dual. We have to work on both of these. Now, what we have in front of us is the appointment of not new judges, and judges in different positions. And we can influence that by having the minister signing it. And again, I'm saying we don't know all eyes.
So you're asking for demands for the appointment of judges in different positions, but we don't know what the positions of the judges or who they are?
We do know. And
for
this
example,
has already been done by the judicial body, which is Majlis Qada al-A'la. But now people are asking, and from that it went to the Minister of Justice in order to sign it. But the Minister of Justice did not accept to sign it.
Why?
Because there has been political interference, and apparently all the previous Minister of Justice and maybe even the President are not accepting on these new appointments because it will hurt their influence in the judiciary.
But there's been political interference, and we're still pressuring the Minister of Justice to sign it.
Because it's not her job to say if it's a bad or a good list. There's the body right there who decided on it, and she should just sign it. But by the fact that not accepting to sign it means there's some political interference, a lot of political interference in it. Again, that's one of the steps. Having an independent judiciary means a lot more than that. We don't want politicians or people with a lot of impact to appoint judges. We even want to hold judges accountable. We guarantee an independent judiciary with judges who are autonomous and don't need to go back to the people who appointed them, and they're free in their decisions. So we have to have.
So what will we gain from the ministry signing these appointments?
It will give it will make the judiciary appear a bit more independent. And the minister apparently didn't sign it because many of the judges that were appointed by previous politicians were given roles that are secondary. So they won't have that much of an influence anymore. And they're clearly not accepting that.
Well, if a judge is right not to sign it, because what's the point of having a judge if
but
he
we
doesn't
do
have the
need-
power to make any change?
No, but we do need judges, and if you want to call them secondary roles, they're roles as important, but that won't deal with people. For example, we have here judges who give, let's say, consultations about project of laws, not necessarily this one, about contracts that are being signed. So we have the administrative judges that also take care of aspects of the state. So yeah.
But can she impose something on the judges who have been nominated or appointed on
Yeah.
this list? Were did they agree to be part of this list, or they were imposed? This list was imposed on
No,
them.
the list is again chosen by the Majlis al-Qada al-Ala.
So the Majlis Qada al-Ala chose them without their acceptance. Like they just say you're going to be doing this.
Yeah, exactly. So and it depends. So usually they do that based on merits, on how clean they are, on their records in the courts, and other things. So this is the list. This is their list. I'm not saying again it's a perfect list, but to have this interference from the executive body and the decision of the judicial body is a catastrophe.
So in a way, the Minister of Justice is kind of put in a hard corner there, which you have to decide to do the right thing and at the same time, not accept political interference.
Exactly. I mean, she is a politician. She is part of the executive body, and she's a lawyer as well. I'm sure she is aware of what she's doing, and I'm sure she is aware of her action, what she did by not signing it, makes it less
Worse
of a,
than signing it.
I mean, yeah, of course, because it's not her job to say, I disagree with this list. And this is another thing that's also very surprising. Yesterday we had a meeting between the head of the banks and several prosecutors, and they came up with decisions on how the banks will work. Again, this is not the role of and implement them. It's completely absurd.
So what should be done now then?
We should keep on pressuring
For her to sign?
That's as a first step, but also the more important step is to have an independent law that ensures independence of the judiciary.
And what can the actual judges themselves do to impose or to enforce or to endorse that the minister signs them?
Yeah, well,
they have the power or they don't?
They technically don't have the power. And plus, when it comes to the judges, they can have an amazing impact on how things go. Because I'm sure we're all aware of this.
Like Milham Khalaf, for example.
Yeah,
has he got any role to play in this?
He is the head of the Beirut Bar Association, which is
But
a
can't he
separate
pressure
entity.
them?
He can put pressure on the politics.
And has
as
he
a
played
body.
an enough role, you think?
I'm not sure, but again, it will be interference in a part, so I'm sure maybe he doesn't want to do that. But we are all aware of how the judiciary can impact a country, can change it. As in Italy, like it's the mafia, it's the judges who brought down the mafia. Same in many other countries. We have the judiciary can play a very important role. We shouldn't disregard that.